Hello and welcome to SATV's International Affairs Talk Show. My name is Shamsulalam Pantho and I will be discussing all the details and updates of the whole world. Before I begin, let me introduce my panelists to you all. We have Professor Dr. Mohammad Rashid Alam Bhuiya, who's of course of the Department of Political Science at University of Dhaka. And alongside we have Professor Dr. Saber Ahmed Chaudhary, Department of Peace and Conflict Studies at the University of Dhaka as well. And of course, we are joined on Zoom with Ambassador Norman Floyd Barnes. He is joining us from Washington, D.C. Gentlemen, I hope you all are doing well today. But I want to begin today's discussion with Mr. Norman. Let me give you the update. Donald Trump orders nuclear submarines to reposition amid war of words with Russia. This is, of course, with ex-President Dmitry Medvedev. The context here being, Mr. Dmitry Medvedev has transformed from a perceived modern voice into a Kremlin hawk, embracing incendiary rhetoric on nuclear deterrence. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has responded with military posturing, economic threats and a blunt media strategy, setting the stage for one of the most intense exchange cycles between US and Russian leadership in recent years. My question is to Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. You see that the retaliatory comments are made and that Donald Trump has moved nuclear submarines headed for Russia. How do you see this incident unfold? Of course, this comes in over the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Mr. Norman, how are you seeing this issue?
Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be here this morning with everybody, and welcome from Washington, D.C. This situation, this response, is viewed as a knee-jerk reaction. The positioning of the U.S. submarines are something that it happens every day. It's not a big issue. Russia is doing the same thing. China is doing. Everybody is positioning itself. It's a chess game. The surprising part is that it's that administration chose to respond to the former president of Russia's comments. If you follow the news, you know that he makes these type of comments frequently. But it's interesting to see, from my insight, is that why our President Trump has decided to respond to this particular situation. It appears to me to be a strategic move to deflect attention away from the real issue, which is Ukraine and Russia. And more importantly, the issues that we are dealing with here in the United States. What's going on with our Congress, our public, and particularly the uprising of these Epstein's files. So I looking at this as a deflection, mostly symbolic, and it takes the public attention away from. So I do not hold much substance in this type of situation. These type of movements of resources around the world happens every day, and it's not significant.
Definitely. Thank you, Mr. Norman. I will definitely come back with major updates in the United States. But I want to add on here that Donald Trump, before going into such a movement with the submarines, he had said the war with Russia and Ukraine to be paused, and he had 50 days, which was shortened down to 10 to 12 days. Now, knowing Donald Trump, he had said that he would give Iran even 2 weeks, but he had carried out a strategic attack on its nuclear facilities in the third day. Let's have a look at Ukraine and Russia. Even just this morning, a massive blast had hit a Russian oil facility, which is 1,000 kilometers away from Ukraine. And Kiev said that drones struck refineries, an airfield and an electro plant as well. My question would go to Mr. Rashid Alam Bhuiya. You see, Donald Trump holds a magnificent, very massive amount of world dominance over various regions. Only in this instance, we would see that Donald Trump is failing to bring a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. What is your observation? Where do you see this going?
Thank you so much for bringing me here in this program. So at the moment, yes, USA is very much is like one-man show, like we have been seeing in the last couple of years. Although USA has in US democratic institution, it has an immense role of Congress or Senate, but we have been seeing like it's for a couple of years it's like a one-man show since Donald Trump came into power in the second term. So he has been issuing executive order once after another, and it's like a personalized show of US politics at the moment. So it not only the Ukraine, Russia, but also the tariff issues, you can talk about it. But at the moment I can see Putin was one of his good friend as far I know earlier. But now he is playing a maximizing pressure game. So I mean we have seen his conversation with J.D. Vance with the Ukraine president earlier, where the Ukrainian presidents were like insulted in White House
Yes.
in his while he was
In the Oval Office,
invited.
yes.
But now I mean there are some deal taken place between Ukraine and USA afterward. Like America will have a huge amount of control on Ukraine resources.
Yes.
Like
Through the use of NATO as well.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all about politics. It's all about like maximizing US gain. Like Donald Trump, it is always like America first. That is his voice. So, but the way he is dealing it, like it's like a maximizing pressure on the both parties to negotiate a deal. And some things it also came to my mind, like he's trying to, divert the attention, like his allegation of his involvement with the Epstein case, which is now lots of things going on these issues. So child pornography and child prostitution, that the Epstein issues. So Donald Trump name also came into that file. So that's another thing. Like he is trying to something divert attention as well by making this kind of this like deploying games and our colleagues from Washington also told us that it's like a normal scenario. It should not be like a big game, but just some sort of giving a message or diverting people's attention from White House, something like that.
Of course, the Republicans call for more transparency, especially this Jeffrey Epstein case. We have picked it out on various shows earlier as well. It actually shows how far close Donald Trump had a very scandalous life before assuming presidency at 45th presidency and also 47th presidency. Right. But I want to get Mr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhury's attention as well. Both my guests here today are academics nonetheless, and you've seen Donald Trump in his first 6-7 months how he had fought what he calls anti-Semitism in between institutions of higher education, namely Harvard and other universities in America. They had suffered in the hands of trying to keep foreign students. Of course, it's an old news, but as for academics, how do you see this? He is attacking his own universities. Is that a part of making America great again?
Thank you. Definitely there are some foreign policy and trade policy changes in USA. And so far we understand USA just trying to frame their policy like that the Iran, China and Russia.
Yes.
And counterfeiting this position in the global economy as well as the political strategy. So they are now again involving European Union and their NATO allies. So in the last meeting of NATO, we see that they discussed a lot about these things, and they decided to increase their 5% GDP to invest in NATO operations. And especially they pinpoint out about their role in the Ukraine situation and create pressure on how to have a control on the situation. And we know there are growing international demand to go for ceasefire. But what Mr. Putin, he replied that we are now in a battlefield momentum. So now we are not trying to and have some sort of negotiating situation in regard of this war, and hopefully there are next summit where USA and Russia, the diplomats can some sort of discussion in Riyadh. So let's see what will going to happen. But so far we understand the hard lines US is just taking, especially regarding in Russian cases, and they some sort way they penalized India having their relationship with Russia for their military and energy sectors. So just see what's going on in the world scenario, and there sort of definitely some sort of change regarding Middle East as well as in the South Asian cases as well. So we see what's going on around different in these regions and their relationship with India as well. Some sort of different ball game they're playing now. So definitely it has some sort of impact on the global economy as well as the politics as well.
Well, of course, as you were talking, I picked out some of the instances of India, let's per se. Initially, we thought that India was a great friend of the American government, and what we understand is that they tried to keep their bilateral ties with America while understanding China, Russia, and that other bloc as well. But doing so in between, even the allies have now a tariff of 15%, while India has a tariff of 25%. I'd like to get Norman Floyd Barnes on this matter. As you know, August 1st was 2 days ago, and this tariff issue had kicked off. Now there's a new timeline, August 7th, for this updated tariff to go. And let me just give you the information. Bangladesh had negotiated from 37 to 35% before now arriving at 20%, while such a blatant ally, if you would call it, I want to understand how you think about India's role. And now, right now, the Indian tariff stands at 25%. Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes.
Yes, this is a very interesting phenomenon that's happening. The tariffs. We're looking at August 7th initiation. This is both a economic and a political situation that is happening now. The deals are now intertwined with politics. Let's look at India. India has been a friendly ally with the United States for years, but India is also working with Russia, China, and everyone else in the world. India has decided to do trade with energy with Russia and other parts of the world. As a consequence, our political response from the United States is that we're going to slap you with additional tariffs, sanctions, and whatever like that. As you know, Russia is being threatened with sanctions, and India is let's say a partner now with Russia in terms of doing trade and commerce. Russia has decided to ignore these type of sanctions, and it's come to my knowledge that India has decided to do the same thing. So now we have an interesting situation with the United States. What do we do now with countries like India, Brazil, China,
South Africa as well.
South Africa, the BRICS? How do we deal with them? So the situation has become somewhat a very interesting situation, because now it appears that the tariffs threats are not going to work with these. They're just going to do a workaround and work with other countries, which is going to cause some type of tension here with the current administration. But overall, it may help the world trade and commerce moving forward. Our tariffs will, if people look at it, it's going to take effect. Well, it takes 6 to 7 months before it affects anything. But in the end, the U.S. consumer will be the one that will suffer the most.
Most definitely, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. I have a complimentary question as well. You know, the metaphor goes as saying, you shake the tree and you see which fruit falls out. In my understanding, Donald Trump's tariff package as of April, up until now, we've seen most countries getting a big tariff or a large tariff above 40%. or 35%, is now have reduced to 20%, and in generalized speaking, 15 to 18%. So definitely, in my understanding, is shaking the tree. Would you agree, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes?
Yes, you have to look at this as a strategic move. I shoot for a number, a high number. I'm shooting for the stars, but somewhere I land on the moon. This type of situation, I'm going to hit you with 50%. I'm going to hit you with 40, 35%. But the intention is somewhere around 15 to 20, which is a increase at the same time. It makes you feel like you got a deal, but the deal is really, I'm going to make profits. In these, with the tariffs, the Trump administration has profited and is going to make financial gains on this move. Even though they say, oh, we made a deal, we strike it down from 30 to 15, that's a great deal. Well, we're not selling cars, we're not selling real estate, we're dealing with people's livelihoods.
Thank you, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. Of course, your contribution is well remarked over here in SATV in Dhaka, Bangladesh. But let me have a change of topic with my panelist here in the studio. Let's have a look at Gaza. It's the worst humanitarian disaster of the century. Let me give you an update. Israel forces killed at least 62 Palestinians in Gaza on Saturday, and most of them are aid seekers. Aside from this, Hamas had said it will not give in to calls to disarm until the establishment of a Palestinian state. The casualties have now crossed the 60,000 threshold, and it is clear to say that it is an active humanitarian disaster. My question would go to Mr. Rashid Alam Bhuiya. You know that this Israeli aggression has claimed the lives of 60,000 plus innocent women and children. And we understand that Israel must face the brass of the Western powers and every country that has a conscience towards such an indiscriminate act. In a recent news, we see Slovenia becoming the first European country to ban arms trade with Israel. The decision was initially initiated by Prime Minister Robert Golob. And of course, this new policy would make sure that military weapons and equipment sent from Slovenia to Israel bought in from Israel or transported through civilian territory will be listed as prohibited. What do you take on this matter?
So I think we are now facing one of the worst humanitarian crises in the history of world history, I think. So the way the persecution is taking place currently in Palestine and in Gaza particularly, I think the number will be much more higher. What is reported, like various international media also reportedly talk that it should be like more than 100,000 already the people have died. And the imagery, the videos that came into social media nowadays, it's really heartbreaking what's going on at the moment. So we have been seeing some responses from the global leaders, particularly from the European countries, the Ireland, who was the champion in these issues, and Spain Prime Minister. They also reportedly speaking in favor of Gazan population. But the actions, particularly the UN and the action from the global leaders, has to be very quick and prompt at the moment, because this is a slow response. It will not work and it will not stop killing of the Gazan population. So I think there should be maximum pressure now. World leader has to impose on Israeli administration to stop killing these people and supply as much as food as possible to the Gaza population, right? Because they are now dying in both ways, like the killing of the shootings from the Israeli soldier and also the killing of starvation from hunger. So I think the responses you are seeing is good, but it's not enough, I think. Although globally the huge demonstration is taking place in US, as I said, the US universities has the anti-Semitism, that cult has been broken, I think. The US universities and the UK population and people in Europe, they already understand what's going on at the Gaza. So Israel has been successful for until so long to make the people understand they have a issue of self-determination. It's their security issue. But now what we're seeing is like another ethnic cleansing in the history. Another genocide is going on in Gaza. So their claim has become weaker nowadays, and the genocide they're committing at the moment, which actually reducing their claim, like the way they are determining the people of life, Gaza's population. So I think global response is good, but I think we need maximum pressure at the moment and more emergency responses from the UN and other global countries to immediately respond on the issue of to save the people of Gaza and particularly the children. So the picture of starvation of the young kids, which is really heartbreaking, and the global media particularly are, circulating this news in various media outlets and also social media. So people's consciousness bringing back, but I think we need an emergency response to save the humanity in Gaza at the moment. We need that.
Thank you, Mr. Bhuya. Let me add on here. First, it was France to recognize the state of Palestine. Then it was UK Keir Starmer and David Lammy, Foreign Minister, to recognize Palestine. And now we understand that Canada is stepping out here on a limb and saying that they will be recognizing Palestine ahead of the UN General Assembly, which is set to take next month. And not only so, people are gathering in Sydney, in Australia, to demonstrate their support of a Palestinian state. My question is to Mr. Saber Ahmed Chaudhary. You study peace and conflict. Right now, this has gone beyond the territory in the Middle East, beyond Israel and Palestine. As you see, various first world nations are now coming out, the households, the people that are there, they are understanding and their conscience is building up day by day as they see these casualties happen. My question to you would be, do you think the current Netanyahu government, should this government be challenged in the face of such drastic action that they have implemented in the Gaza Strip?
Thank you. Yeah, they should be. But the thing is, what we seeing again from the Trump administration, the unconditional support and giving their military support as well. In the last few weeks, close to 1,400 people died when one organization, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
Yes.
So they throw from the helicopters and similar kind of vessels, and when the Palestinians they went there for access to food, a huge number of people died, and international community identified these things as the death traps. So they were criticized all over the world. Every day, huge number of people are killed there. And the growing tensions, it's destabilized the situation in Middle East as well, and we know about the role of Hamas, Hezbollah and other forces. But the thing is, as long as you are not getting support from their Muslim brotherhood things and the Muslim countries, and don't activate the YC, it would be little difficult because they are the main part, and we know about the divisions between them. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, they played different kind of roles in the situation. But the thing is, the good point here is the growing popularity and the agenda setting between different countries of the, especially Europe. You mentioned about the France. So France, Canada, UK, Portugal, this kind of countries, these are coming forward to support, and demonstrations all over the world. But as long as you are not able to create pressure on US especially, it would be difficult to handle the situation and in UN as well, because we know that UN totally failed in controlling the situation in Gaza like many other places. We know the situation in Syria, we know in some other places as well, and we know what happened in Afghanistan. So we need some sort of negotiations, the tie of different countries, especially from North America as well as European Union. But if you can't bring on board the Muslim countries as well, it would create the situation little difficult, and there are different sort of dynamics in Middle East to know. So it would be difficult to handle as well. Thank you.
Most definitely.
Just to add, good thing is the Zionism, that the discourse is now crumbling. So worldwide, the support the Israeli regime earlier seek through selling the Semitism, anti-Semitism cause. now it's scrambled totally. So as we've seen that the protest and demonstration in the Europe is a large number, like 100,000 people are demonstrating for the cause of Palestinian and the Gaza's population. Free Palestine is like a slogan which has been uttered in everywhere. So like it's like the massive crumble down of the Zionism cause. I think the Zionism project is going to fail soon, although at the cost of huge humanitarian lives and the life of the children and women in the Gaza. But I think it's going in a direction that the Israel claims of their self-determination, which is at the cost of the Gazan people, will not be accepted in the worldwide, and that's the huge defeat for the Zionism project, I think. Yeah.
Thank you once again, gentlemen. This was definitely informative. Before we go on to a break, let me just add on that the Netherlands government had also initiated a sanction on 2 sitting Israeli ministers. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay with us as we head for a short commercial break.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. Sophisticated fine dining restaurant.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to International Affairs. Today we are joined by Mohammad Rashid Alam Bhuiya and of course with Mr. Professor Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary, and we have our Washington connection, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes, who I would like to begin with. Mr. Norman Floyd, we see that many countries are stepping out of their norms and starting to understand the consciousness where they see innocent women and children being killed on a daily basis. It was first France and then to UK, now Canada, and Australia is following. And of course, before going into a break, I had said that Netherlands had created a sanction on 2 ministers. Of course, it includes Ben Gvir as well, someone who is very popularly known in Israel to be promoting the radicalization of Zionism, or if you would like to call it. I want to understand what is your thoughts on this newfound goal where many Western nations are slowly starting to condemn Israel and its actions?
Yes, again, the world is changing. What we are experiencing right now, we are watching on live time where Israel is being isolated by the world. With the advent of AI, communications, TV broadcasts like this, people are now seeing exactly what's going on. We have a tremendous disaster going on, a humanitarian nightmare unfolding in Gaza. Children are dying. There's no ways about it. Children are dying from starvation. There's a term I'm going to use, engineered starvation, which equates to genocide, pure and simple. We currently have a situation with Israel, backed by the United States, are systematically controlling what amount of food is being issued, where it's being issued, and how much. They are controlling it with weapons, psychological point, killing people and whatever. At the same time, the world is watching. Western, Eastern, North, South, East, West. It's very clear. When you take the lives of children, women and children, and you starve them, people just do not like that. So you're going to see additional sanctions, restrictions, and isolation for Israel on this, to the point where they cannot continue this. We must move towards a two-state solution. So that is the goal of the world, and I think it's going to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes. Of course, the entire world and major nations are, of course, pushing forward for the two-state theory or the two-state solution to this problem. But let me have a look over into Istanbul and Turkey. We know that from August 1st, Istanbul had hosted a cooperation summit between Istanbul, Italy and Libya. Now, we understand that Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is now a cornerstone in world geopolitics. I say this why? We see that they tried their level best for a prisoner swap between Ukraine and Russia, and 2 rounds of such talk had happened. They initially proposed that one day they might sit down, the American president with Vladimir Putin in Turkey to understand where this escalation could end. As you know, this war had gone on for 3.5 years. But however, let's focus on this cooperation summit. It was, of course, attended by Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Libyan Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dibé. Gentlemen, I'll go to both of you, but I want to understand how you see this cooperation summit as countries are moving away from major powers and they're uniting amongst themselves. Second world nations, third world nations, they're uniting amongst themselves and they're trying to figure out how they could tap into energy exploration and, of course, to understand seismic survey across the Mediterranean zones. We know that in Cyprus, it's a very earthquake-prone region. And not only so, we've seen earthquakes happening verily across that entire region as well as Russia. We've seen what had happened in Kamchatka region. A 8.8 magnitude earthquake had taken place. Right. I'll go with Mohammad Rashid Alam Bhuiya. Please give me your contribution.
So like the regional cooperation and like the regional, as you said, the Istanbul conference. So I think it's a good step in terms of like Turkey has a bigger role in terms of like the Ottoman, and they have a huge role in the global politics, say for centuries. So now, they have a huge role in terms of like the conflicting zones, like Libya, as you said, like and the Mediterranean zones. So which is now we have seen lots of conflict engulfing there. So and also the crisis at the moment that unfolded in Russia and Syria as well. So where we had seen a huge role of Turkey, and Recep Tayyip Erdogan also lost his credibility through the handling the Syrian issues, like the topple down of Bashar al-Assad and yes. That was going on at the moment in Syria. So I think, as you said, like Turkey is in huge amount of pressure, like to assert his credibility in this term. But I think the negotiation and the cooperation in terms of energy, in terms of other issues, like they have the armament and disarmament is also a good issue. I think like in terms of the Libya insurgency at the moment is like since the fall of Gaddafi, the country is in complete chaos and conflict, and there is no central authority has established in Libya. So I think if Turkey and other countries like UAE also have a greater role in the current ongoing crisis in Libya, as we've seen. So I think Libya needs some sort of stabilities, and I think most of this conflict actually controlled from the outside sources, like as we've seen in Syrian conflict as well. So Syria's conflict also maximum influence from the outside influences. So I think if Turkey honestly, they think about like regional cooperation, regional stability is important, and then they should actually, disarmament, taking steps for disarmament in the Libyan region, and also helping to establish a central government authority, how then the regional established. Like the Libyan zone is also very much relevant with the what's going on in terms of international migration, illegal migration, trafficking.
Yes.
So there's so many issues, and Europe also have a biggest stake in that regards as well. So I think if this regional cooperation, if it is successful, then there is a possibility of some sort of stability in this Mediterranean zone through that cooperation. Yeah.
Since we were talking about Turkey, I want to get Mr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhury's attention here. We've seen earlier in May how India and Pakistan had shared rivalries between one another. It was with the Indus Water Treaty, it was with countering, from India's side, it was countering terrorism across in Pakistan as well. But due to this escalation between the two countries, we see where Turkey's alliances last. Let me give you a breaking news. The navies of both Pakistan and Turkey are holding naval drills in the North Arabian Sea. Earlier on, we've seen how Turkish companies had removed itself from India because they were of support of the Shehbaz Sharif's administration. My question to Mr. Chaudhury would be, where do you see Turkey trying to help Pakistan? And of course, it's the Arabian Sea that they were practicing their naval games. And not only so, India currently is looking forward for friends across its own continent. The Indian subcontinent is going out to countries like South Korea, countries like Latin America. This issue remains unresolved. Do you think another escalation between India and Pakistan is very likely?
Thank you. Especially Turkey is playing a great role for a long time regarding these issues, and we see in the India-Pakistan conflict, Pakistan get huge support from Turkey using their drones and other military apparatus as well. In the Iran and Gaza cases, we also see that Iran gets some sort of help from Turkey as well in minimizing the tensions and in the war between those two countries. So Turkey is like to play a role like the savior for the Muslim world, and in many cases like the Syria and other cases as well, we see they trying to negotiate regarding this kind of things, and trying to take some steps in favor of the Muslim countries. That's why these countries, when they are in trouble, they are inviting Turkey to play a negotiating role in these cases. So regarding these issues between the India-Pakistan tensions, it's always going on. Pakistan especially maintain a policy of deterrence, and the thing is they are not in a mood of attack, but they are always ready. If some kind of attack will gonna to happen on them, they are ready to face the situation. And we know in the last conflict as well, they get huge support from China.
Yes.
That's why they can very quickly change their strategic game and having some sort of help from the Turkey, and they did very well in the last war, and India get some sort of lesson that what they thought before attacking Pakistan, the situation is not like that. So I think India will not going to attack Pakistan very quickly, but always there is a tension situations. India mostly now trying to, there are some conflicting regional issues as well. So this tariff things, it will have a backlash on them, and they understand that the relation with USA it's now in a new dimension.
Of course.
And USA is very much aggressive and taking some sort of penalty because of the relation with Russia, which they did very comfortably in the Biden regime. So they are using their different sort of allies, their friends in different kind of situations where they don't bother about the sanctions and other things. But world politics doesn't go in this way. So now they have to realize who are their real allies and with whom they are going to work in the long run, because they have also good relationship with Israel as well.
Yes.
So who is their real friend? And they're losing friends in the South Asia as well. No one is, doesn't know the situation. That's why they're in a tense situation in the case of Bangladesh as well.
Yes.
You know the different sort of statements from Mr. Joy Shankar.
Of course.
Who is there, in a very tense situation. So they need to determine what role they need to play in South Asia and what role they need to pick up their friends in the international community as well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chaudhary. We know that the SAARC of the regional cooperation between our neighboring India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and all the other countries, we know it's been defunct ever since 2014. So we need to step up and get to the dialogue table and how we can protect our dominion within these several countries. But let me bring you a news from one of our other neighbors, Myanmar. Myanmar ends emergency rule ahead of December elections. The military junta official lifted a 4-year state of emergency, while Senior General Min Aung Hlaing installed himself as the acting president. Critics has, of course, said that the vote is a sham. It's set to take this place in December of this year. But I want to come back to Bangladesh as we arrive at the end segment of our program. You see, we had a revolutionary government or a revolutionary act that happened last year in this very month, August 5th. It's just approaching day after tomorrow. But we understand that Bangladesh still has no direct timeline, or there's only just a stipulated timeline of next year's February for an election. I'll come to both of my commentators here today. I know that the city in Dhaka is facing a mass rallies today as well in support of what has happened a year ago. And of course, I would like to thank our negotiators who were negotiating this tariff deal in America, Khalilur Rahman, as well as Mr. Bashiruddin, who had helped to bring it down to 20%. But we need proper governance. We need people in this parliament. Every day that goes on, this parliament remains empty. The call for an election is so much more important to understand where communities and circles alike in Bangladesh can survive and thrive. I will go to both of my commentators. First to Mr. Rashid Alam Bhuiya. How do you see our matter in regional geopolitics?
Thank you so much. So transition to, we are in the now stage of transition to democracy, and I know in democracy, the election, free and fair election is very important. So what happened in our case, like although election give a security of like a legal government who will be in the power in the parliament, but what happened, like this parliament become a dictatorship.
Yes.
So that's the biggest risk we are facing. Like although we have a transition to democracy since 90s, then we crumbled in 2008. Since 2008, we do not have any meaningful elections. So, like I mean, even the election has been used for like a, to get a fake legitimacy of the government by using the constitutional order, something
Yes.
like that. So I think the basic problems now we have with the constitution, with the rules and regulation, which can make a government, like a elected government, a dictator. So that's how we need to figure out the clause, figure out the section of the constitution which can turn a democratic elected government into a dictator. So that's how it's very important before going to election to figure out the controversial issues or figure out the important legislation and the important reforms to take in place by in this institution, which needs to be built up, which need to be accountable, which need to be very transparent in their affairs of dealing the domestic politics. So that's why now, I mean, we as you said, that we still have to have a fixed date for the election, but the progress that we are making, the interim government making in terms of reforms and also the constitutional reforms, also the institutional reforms is very important. Otherwise, if we make a quick election, a democratic government may come and they will again turn to a mode of dictatorship, turn to a one-party dictatorship, something like this. So we want to see Bangladesh is truly a democratically progressed country with a lot of accountable and constitutionally driven, constitutionally elected constituted bodies who can really prosper, who can really give us a true taste of democracy. That's why these reforms is taken place, and I think interim government is in the right direction to holding the election after conducting these reforms. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'll have a very fast and quick question to Mr. Chaudhary. You know that Dhaka is a very busy city with millions of people residing here. Just a yes or no question. Do you think Dhaka should be decentralized in order to be a good society? What is your matter?
Yes, of course it is. It's necessary. It's the demand of the time, because every kind of activities, you see less people in the road today because they know they will, get in trouble when they are on the roads for this demonstration and other things. And you can held these things in a different part of the, outside of the capital as well. So what's the matter of, always holding this kind of thing in the center of the capital? And another thing about the, the election and other things, we had a huge demand as well as expectation from this government, the interim government, which is not mostly possible for them to serve. It's obvious. But the thing is, they passed more than 1 year or close to 1 year. So this is the time to revisit their activities. We can only spend 58% of our development budget, where the usual trend is close to 80%. And the economic situation, the investment of the native donors as well as the FDI situations, these things are not go well. So everyone is waiting for a stable government, and when you are dealing with the international community as well, they know that this government don't have enough public support, and their main role is to in a transition for going to a total democratic process. So now the most important thing is the free and fair election. If they are able or capable in doing so, then it's not a big deal. Whoever will come in power, it doesn't matter if it is a free and fair election. But there are many questions whether they are in a position to hold a free and fair election, because there is some sort of controversy regarding their different sort of activities. And we are very happy to know about the tariff, and 20% it reduced down. And in total it will be 35%, because there are some sort of 15% tariff in addition to that. But the thing is, there are different sort of negotiations with US and Bangladesh government, which is not public. So we don't know what we offered them to dealing with the situations. And we heard that maybe we need to buy 25 Boeings or something like that. Which are in real sense necessary or not, we don't know. So depending on the situations, the most important thing, having the minimum efforts for the reform initiatives. Reform is necessary and it's a continuous and ongoing process. But we obviously need a free and fair elections to be held as early as possible, because this kind of stability within the country, it's the demand of the people. So people are waiting, investors are waiting, the FDI, the foreigners are waiting to invest and having a balanced economic situations for the country and for ensuring development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhary, and I would like to add on to both my gentlemen here for your contributions and your important insights to our international affairs program. Ladies and gentlemen, as I draw closer, it is of course World Breastfeeding Week, and it's encouraging breastfeeding, which improves the health of babies worldwide. And of course, on 3rd August 2024, coordinators of the anti-discrimination student movement announced a one-point demand for the resignation of the then Prime Minister and her cabinet for comprehensive non-cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying tuned on International Affairs. Do like, share and comment on our Facebook pages so we can render you better programs ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, have a lovely week.